everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Segen. In today's video, I put together a meal prep for the week. You guys have been loving these cooking vlogs, so I put together 3 easy recipes that I broke down into 10 different meals. So if you're interested to see what I made for the week, continue watching. But before we get started, I have to give a major shout out to the following people right over here. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. It really does mean a lot. We're almost at 40K and your support means everything. If you want to shout out like them, all you have to do is click the notification bell, let me know that you did it in the comment section down below, and I'll give you a shout out on my next video. So with that being said, let me break down what I made for the week. Meal number 1 is going to be chicken breast, broccoli, and sauteed bell peppers with red onions. Meal number 2 is going to be my take on a burrito bowl. So I packed it up with vegetables, rice cauliflower, black beans, and ground beef. And for the third meal, I put together some chickpeas, kale, and some riced cauliflower. I do get a few comments on making more vegan vegetarian meals, so that one is completely vegan. I'm not a vegan, but I absolutely love the way that I season the chickpeas, so you don't want to miss that. So if you guys want to create any of these meals I show in today's video, I left my grocery list in the description box below to give you guys a reference on your next trip to the grocery store. So without further ado, let's get started with meal number 1. So to get started, I'm gonna start off with the chicken because that's gonna take the longest. So I'm gonna heat the pan at a medium high, and I'm going to add some olive oil. Now I'll add the chicken breast, and then we're gonna season it while it's on the pan. All right, so to that, I'm gonna add some salt and some pepper. And I'm also gonna add some cumin. So here's a tip: if the chicken or any meat that you're cooking or you're kind of searing on a pan, if it sticks, then it's not ready to flip. If it's okay, then you know it's ready to flip. So I just had to adjust the lighting, but I flipped it, so now I'm gonna season it on the other side as well with some salt, some pepper, and some cumin. So at this point, what I like to do is I like to bring the heat down to about a medium, and then I let the chicken do its thing. So now we're ready to chop up some vegetables. So as the chicken is doing its thing, I'm gonna chop up some bell peppers and some red onion and put it in this bowl. So I'm cutting them up into pretty big pieces, which is what I want. But you can cut them in any way, shape, or form you like. I just kind of like them big. So I'm only going to use half an onion. I'm going to use that other half for the next meal, but I'm just going to cut these into big pieces as well. Just into wedges and then halves of wedges. So I'm going to add them into our bowl, and I'm going to check on the chicken. So the chicken's looking really good and it smells even better. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes. I actually covered it and added a little bit of water to help with the cooking process. That's my little trick of speeding up when I'm making food, especially with meat. At this point, I'm gonna actually add some lemon. And it's actually gonna bring it up a notch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it cook for another few minutes, and then we're gonna add the vegetables we just chopped up into the pan. That way it can pick up all the, you know, the goodness of the chicken that's gonna be left off. And then we're almost done with this meal already. So all that's left with this meal is the broccoli. But I wanted to point out what I do with broccoli and spinach. So I picked up a couple packages of frozen broccoli. It's actually technically not supposed to be frozen but refrigerated, but I like to keep spinach and broccoli in the freezer because I find that it lasts a lot longer. Because what I can't stand is like if one broccoli gets molded or one spinach leaf gets molded, it's like a wrap for the entire package. So I like to keep it in the freezer, and I shared that tip with my breakfast, lunch, and dinner meal idea video. So I wanted to share that with you guys on this video, but with broccoli as well, because nothing grinds my gears with smelly broccoli in the fridge. So freeze up your broccoli. As the chicken finishes up, I'm gonna start with steaming the broccoli. I have the hot water going. So I'm just gonna open up the broccoli here and I'm gonna add some broccoli. So I'm gonna let it steam for about 5 to 7 minutes and then I'm gonna take it off the burner. That way it doesn't get mushy. So the chicken is now cooked, so I'm gonna take it off of the burner and let the meat rest. And now we're gonna add some vegetables. All right, so to the pan, I just added a little bit of olive oil and I'm going to take our vegetables and add it at a medium-high setting. So I'm not trying to cook down the vegetables. I'm just sauteing them and getting the flavor that the chicken breast left behind on the pan. So we're not really doing much cooking. It's just kind of sauteing it. So I'm gonna let that do its thing for a few minutes and I'm gonna check on the broccoli. So broccoli is looking good. I'm gonna take it off the burner and I'm gonna move it to the side. That way it can cool down and stop the cooking process because we don't want mushy broccoli. And to the vegetables, I'm gonna add this lemon herb seasoning. This is optional. You could add fresh lemons if you have, but I'm just gonna add this because we added lemon to the chicken breast, so that way it can bring out that lemon flavor a little bit more. Oh my God, it smells so good. I'm gonna turn off the burner, toss it up one last time. Hope you guys can see these colors. Look how beautiful. So for the burrito bowl, I'm gonna start off with the ground beef and I'm gonna add it with no oil to a hot pan. So I just had to adjust the lighting. But the reason why I didn't add any oils to this is because this isn't lean. I was trying to look for lean ground beef, but there wasn't any. So I'm gonna have to strain off this meat. So that's why I didn't add any olive oil to it. But we will add a lot of flavor after we strain the meat. You can already see right here, it's just way too much. And that needs to go. It's way too much. When I was at the grocery store, I couldn't find lean ground beef, so I had to settle for regular beef. That's why I needed to strain it because it's just way too much unwanted fats and all that. So I'm gonna be straining out the beef and I'm gonna show you guys how I do that. Yeah, you guys can see all of that. Yeah, it's unnecessary. So I'm gonna strain the meat and then we'll season the ground beef. Much better. So we're gonna finish the cooking process and I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, not very much, for some flavor. I'm gonna turn down the heat to a medium high and then I'm gonna add some pepper. Gonna add some salt. Now this is optional, but I like to use taco mix because I mean we are making a burrito bowl, so why not? So I'm gonna use some taco mix. So I'm just gonna make sure the beef is all cooked through, all nice and seasoned. So as the beef cooks, I'm gonna move on to the beans. For the beans, I'm gonna be using black beans, but I'm going to strain it, wash it up a little bit, and then I'm going to saute it just for a few minutes with some salt, some pepper, some cumin, and some paprika. So let me show you guys how we do that. So I'm just gonna take the strainer for the beans. Just gonna wash them up a little bit. Then I'm gonna add them to the pot. All right, so to the pot, I'm gonna add just a little bit of olive oil. Okay, maybe that wasn't a little bit, but it'll do. And then I'm going to add the black beans. And I'm actually gonna add just a little bit of water to help with the cooking process. So I always have my kettle with me when I'm cooking. So if you guys have an electric kettle, I would always recommend it. That way you always have like hot water. So before I close the pot, I'm gonna add some salt, some pepper, some cumin. Honestly, one of my favorite spices, if not my favorite. And then some paprika. So now that I've mixed everything in, I'm gonna cover it for about 15 minutes. Beef is now done, so I'm actually gonna be transferring it to a bowl. That way I could do the meal prep with all the containers all at once. And I'm gonna show you guys how I do that later on in this video. But for now, the beef is all done and ready to go. So I'm going to move it over to this container right over here. And because it's warm, it's really important to make sure you're using glass containers. The containers that I'm going to be using in this video for the week are going to be plastic containers. But while I've been making this video and as I'm kind of cooking, I've been making sure that the food is cooling down. So behind me, you'll see the chicken is right here. The vegetables, the broccoli, everything's cooling down. What I would recommend is if you have glass containers for the week, then great. But if you don't and you're using plastic, make sure that your food is cool before adding it to the plastic. Don't mind the mess, all the spices and everything behind the scenes is behind this bowl right now, but like I mentioned, I'm just gonna move the ground beef to the bowl. I'm gonna leave this to the side and let it cool down. And the beans are actually right about done. Do you see that bean on the spoon? So it's like pretty soft right now. So that's how I personally like my beans. I don't like them like super hard. Like I just find that that just doesn't work for me. But I like my beans on the softer side. So I'm gonna let the beans cool down. I'm gonna move them away from the burner, and then I'm gonna show you guys the next meal, which is probably my favorite out of all of them. But I'm gonna quickly rinse this, and I'm gonna show you guys how I make it. For the kale, I'm actually gonna add some garlic and a bit of red onion to the pan first. Let it saute a little bit, and then I'm gonna add the kale. Just because I like the flavor a lot more. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna smash up the garlic, and you guys already know I love my garlic press, and that's what I'm gonna be using always and forever. Let's cut off the butts of the garlic. So I'm gonna quickly rinse these. So next I'm going to take the red onion, actually take quarter of the red onion. I don't need very much. And then I'm just going to chop it up. So to the pan, I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. All right, so to that, I'm gonna add the onions. I'm actually gonna put the heat at medium-low because I don't wanna burn the onions or the garlic. And I'm gonna add the smashed garlic right into it. It already smells so good, oh my God. So like I mentioned earlier with the spinach and the broccoli, kale is one of those items that get really spoiled pretty quickly if you don't use it right away. So in preparation for this video, but I think just for life in general, very long to prep this. But what I did was I just kind of tossed it into a Ziploc bag. So I took it apart from the stems, threw that away, and then all I'm left is kale. So I just find that this is a better alternative because kale can turn yellow, sometimes orange really, really quickly in the fridge. and we don't want that. So I took about 2 bushes, or I guess 2 kales, and came out with 1 big bag, 1 Ziploc bag of kale. So I'm gonna toss that in to the onion and the garlic. It smells amazing, by the way, I just wanna add. Oh. So I'm gonna add the fresh kale. Oh, it smells so good. And I'm kind of packing it on because, like spinach, kale wilts down. So I'm going to now cover this, and I'm gonna work on the chickpeas. Okay, so like the black beans, the chickpeas are gonna be super simple. I'm going to strain this, wash it up, and then saute them with some olive oil, salt, black pepper, and paprika. It's gonna taste so good. Oh my God. So I'm gonna add some pepper, a bit of salt, and some paprika. So I'm gonna let that saute for a few minutes, and now I'm gonna check on the kale. So let's look at the kale. Oh, look at that. Kale is looking good. Still not quite done yet. We want it a bit more darker, but it's looking good. As promised, it's wilted down. So I'm gonna cover up the kale. So I actually added the whole can of chickpeas. I decided if there's anything left over, I can always, you know, leave it and put it on top of rice for another meal or something like that. But I added a bit more paprika and a little bit of cumin. I couldn't help myself. So I'm just letting that kind of do its thing. And it's smelling lovely in here. Oh my God. Okay, the chickpeas taste amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the burner because we're good to go. So the kale is still doing its thing, which is totally fine. And we could stop here, but I kind of like it a little bit more cooked down. And if you notice with the red onion and the garlic, you can still see it because we had to make sure it was on a low setting, because what we did not want is burnt onions, which is not good. So I'm gonna give the kale another 5 minutes and then we're good to go. So we're now ready to plate all of our meals. So I'm gonna first start off with the first meal, which was the chicken, broccoli, and sauteed bell peppers and onions. So I'm going to assemble them now. So I got these containers from the dollar store. It says that it has 10 sets. So I'm just gonna lay them out on the counter. I think this is gonna be my favorite meal out of everything. Next, I'm gonna add the beans. Trust me, these beans taste amazing. Nice and seasoned. Oh, they're just so delicious. Next, I'm gonna add some bell peppers. Then I'm gonna add the ground beef that we made. I'm also gonna add some corn. And to finish off, I'm gonna add some cheese and some green onion. I feel green onion makes everything look prettier. I wanted to give you guys a heads up that you can add sour cream and salsa at this point, but I personally like to add the sour cream and salsa as I'm eating the meal. So because this is gonna be kind of stored in the fridge, I don't wanna add that right now, but you will see it in the grocery list in the description box below. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. So for the kale salad, you can substitute the riced cauliflower with rice if you'd like, but I'm going to continue with the riced cauliflower and add it with my kale salad. Just gonna add my kale, which smells amazing, oh my gosh. And then my chickpeas. So for the last container, I'm gonna make another chicken broccoli with sauteed vegetables. I'm gonna add the chicken. So you can interchange any one of these meals, like this could be for lunch, this could be for dinner, that could be for lunch, this could be for dinner. It's entirely up to you, but this is what I'm gonna be eating this week. Typically, I like to have like a bigger portion for lunch than dinners. So for instance, for me, I would probably eat the burrito bowl for lunch and something like the kale salad or the chicken with the broccoli for dinner. This video is posted on a Tuesday, and typically people meal prep for Monday, but you can always refer to this video. I'll leave everything that I picked up from the grocery store in the description box below. If you guys are making a grocery list and need something for reference, I can leave that information for you guys. But that is the final meal prep. I know I didn't speak about breakfast in this video. I can make that into a separate video. However, you guys have seen so many vlogs and so many Insta stories, YouTube stories of me making that yogurt parfait, but I will add that to the next cooking vlog. But I also wanted to add that I do like eggs in the morning with obviously my black coffee. But I also did show you guys how I like my eggs in my previous video, but I will do that in my next vlog. I just wanted to mention that I'm not skipping breakfast. I do eat breakfast in the morning, but it's really between eggs and yogurt parfait. So that wraps up today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this cooking vlog, please give it a big thumbs up. Comment your favorite meal from this video in the comment section down below. Subscribe for more cooking videos, beauty hauls, and weekly vlogs every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.